Let's go on the record. Friend, we need to talk about something that is quietly shaping our entire generation's identity. Not a personality, not a vibe, not labels. I'm talking about identity. And I'll tell you the moment that this all hit for me. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw these videos of Charlie Kirk at university campuses, and he was asking college students the most basic question that you could ask, and that is, what is a woman? And people were freezing, they were panicking, and they were spiraling, and they were giving these very long emotional answers, but they could not simply answer the question without using the word woman. And in that moment, I thought to myself, we are not dealing with a lack of intelligence here. We are dealing with people who truly don't know who they are. And the problem with that is that when we don't know who we are, everything else becomes fluid. Everything becomes negotiable. Everything is up for grabs. So today I want to talk to you very directly, because this message is not about them. It's about us. It's about you. And it is about the internal war that so many of us are living with, and the truth that can finally bring peace to your identity. So if you're new here, welcome to the show. Don't forget to subscribe, join the family. We have new deep dives coming every single Thursday and Sunday. There is also a link down in the pinned comment. If you want to join our monthly newsletter, you can just click there. Now, before we get any deeper, let's start with the basics. Let's define identity. Now, according to the dictionary, the word identity means this: the fact of being who or what a person is, a stable sense of self. Stable, grounded, and rooted. Identity is the part of you as a human that doesn't sway with mood or moments. Let's go define the word personality. Personality is your pattern of thoughts, behaviors, or emotional responses. So personality adapts, it can grow, it can change, but identity is who you are. Personality is how you express who you are. So identity stays rooted and personality evolves with maturity, with healing, and with different seasons. But here's where things are starting to break down. Culture flipped these two definitions. So instead of saying identity is my foundation, people started saying my identity is whatever I feel like today. So identity is becoming an aesthetic. It's a vibe, it's a mood, it's a label, it's a curated brand. And people have stopped asking the question, who am I? What do I stand for? What is my purpose? Who is it that God designed or created me to be? And the questions they were replaced with were, what is my look? What is my niche? What is my archetype? What label makes me relatable? What are my pronouns? So identity went from something that was internally discovered to something that was then externally constructed. But friend, an aesthetic cannot carry your soul. And when life hits you, the curated identity, it will start to crack. And that's when you start to feel really lost. You'll feel unsteady, confused, disconnected. But here's the thing. Identity was never meant to be a performance. It was meant to be an anchor. Let's talk about one of the biggest identity conversations that is happening right now, and that is the topic of gender fluidity. So here's the actual definition of gender fluidity, and I quote, a gender fluid person may feel like a man, a woman, both, or neither at different times. Their gender expression, including how they present themselves and which pronouns they use, can also change with their identity. In simple terms, identity is anchored to an emotion, not truth. Let's be real for a second and really honest. Feelings change all of the time. I know for me, they change very quickly. I can feel one way in the morning, then I may feel another way in the afternoon, or after a phone call, I might feel different at night. When my environment changes, my stress changes, my hormones change around different people. I mean, my mood changes if I'm hungry or if I'm tired. So if our identity is built on something that is changing so consistently, then my identity is going to feel very unstable consistently. And I don't believe that people are trying to be confusing. They're trying to feel grounded, but they're using emotions to build what only truth can hold. So when you anchor your identity to feelings, you will always feel like you're drifting and being swayed, because emotions are not stable and they were never meant to define our identity. They were meant to signal what is happening inside of you. Now, let's talk about something that you may have felt before, and that is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the mental and emotional stress that you may experience when the identity you're trying to live doesn't match who you actually are. So it's this feeling like I'm acting like someone I'm not, or I'm wearing a label that doesn't fit me. I'm performing a version of myself that doesn't feel real. It's basically like this inner tug of war, and it can show up like anxiety or irritation, overthinking, feeling misunderstood or confused, feeling lost, easily offended, identity panic. You need validation, feeling like you're always trying instead of being. Cognitive dissonance is this feeling of being split into two. So you're being pulled. It's like the real you, and then it's like the you think you're supposed to be. And I know I've personally felt this before. I didn't even know the name for it. I just knew how I felt, and I was being pulled, and it was really, really distressing. And this is where so many people are living. And it's not because they're broken, but it's because they've agreed to identities that don't align with their God-given design. Our minds, they know when we're acting out of alignment. Our body knows, our spirit knows, and the longer that we put on and we wear an identity that wasn't meant for us, the louder that internal pressure becomes. And really, this is why people today are so offended so easily by everything. And it's not because things got radically more offensive, but it's because people's identities are so fragile. A stable identity will bring you peace, but a performative identity will bring you chaos. And speaking of switching and changing, I want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Lumia Label. They are blue light glasses that are reimagined. It is one unisex frame, but there is 4 different ways that you can wear them. They have 3 magnetic lenses, and you can switch from yellow to blue to black, and you can add them on top of the blue light frames. Because here's the truth, if you are staring at screens all day, blue light is actually messing with your circadian rhythms, it's straining your eyes, it's even disrupting your hormones. So head to lumialabel.com and use the code on the record for $20 off. That is lumialabel.com, and use the code on the record for $20 off. Here's where we go a little bit deeper. This is where the spiritual side comes into it, because identity is not just psychological, it is something that is spiritual. And scripture says this, it says where 2 agree, it is established. So agreement establishes reality in your life. And when you repeatedly say things and you come into agreement with terms like, I'm the anxious one, I'm chaotic by nature, I'm fluid, it's just who I am, this is my label now. You are not just describing yourself, you are coming into agreement with something. And agreement is not casual. We've talked about it on the show before. Agreement is a covenant. What you agree with, you align with. And what you align with, you act from. And what you act from, it actually shapes your destiny. That's how you shape your destiny. So if you're agreeing with an identity that contradicts who you were actually created to be, somewhere inside your spirit resists it. Your mind stresses under it, your emotions fight it, and your peace disappears. And that's because your soul cannot rest under a false identity. It will always try to pull you back to the truth, even if you don't know it. The more labels that you agree with that don't belong to us, the more confused and unstable you will begin to feel. And it's not because you're weak, but it's because you are wearing something that is so spiritually heavy that you were never meant to wear. Identity was never meant to be a costume. It is meant to be the firm foundation and the truth. This is where it gets really real. A generation without identity is a generation that is easy to manipulate. And if you don't know who you are, you will cling to whatever voice tells you who to be. Algorithms know this. Corporations know this, activist movements know this, political parties know this, and guess what else? Spiritual forces absolutely know this. So identity confusion, it makes people easily influenced, it makes them emotionally reactive, it makes them dependent on validation, makes them confused about their purpose and unable to stand firm to make decisions, even unable to discern what is truth. Because fluid identity is not liberation. It is instability that has been packaged as empowerment. If identity is not rooted in truth, it then becomes rooted in whatever your environment is shouting the loudest at you. But a person who knows who they are, they become unshakable. They don't bend under pressure. They don't change for popularity. They don't collapse when they're challenged. And by the way, identity is the first thing that the enemy will attack, because your identity is the foundation of every other part of your life. Let's go off the record, and I want to talk to you for a second like we are just sitting down, we're having a coffee, it's you and me, because this is the part that really matters. Identity does not come from labels. It doesn't come from a performance. It doesn't come from a number on a screen. It doesn't come from personality tests. It comes from God. It's God-given. And scripture is very, very clear about who it is that he says that you are. I want to share with you a couple of things that I go back to when my identity is feeling swayed, and they're very simple reminders. Number one is you were created with intention. In Genesis, it says that God made you on purpose, not as an accident, not as a filler character, on purpose, with reason, and with intentional design. Number two, you were created in his image. It means that we reflect him, not chaos, not confusion, not labels that you've picked up along the way, his image. Number three is identity is given. It's not chosen. That takes some of the pressure off of us. Throughout scripture, God is the one who names people. He calls them and he speaks identity into them. So identity is something that is received. It's not something that is self-invented. Now, culture says, go create for yourself. God says, come back to who I made you to be. Number four is identity is stable because our God is stable. He is one that is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So identity anchored in him, it doesn't shift with trends or feelings. Number five is you are chosen, not overlooked, not replaceable, chosen, loved, and wanted. Six, you are set apart. It means that your identity is meant to be clear. It's distinct, it's purposeful, it's not fluid or undefined. Number seven is you are called. Identity and purpose, they always go hand in hand. And if the enemy can confuse your identity, he can distract you from your calling. So those two are very linked. And number eight is you are renewed. You're not reinvented. So culture says, go reinvent yourself. It's new year, new you. God says, renew your mind. He says, renewal will bring you back to your true identity. Reinvention will pull you away from that. Number nine, you are his workmanship. That means you are a masterpiece. You're not a project. You're not an accident. You are a masterpiece. Number 10 is you are loved, and identity at the crux of it is rooted in love and not labels. So if you felt lost, confused, if you felt like you've maybe been living two different versions of yourself, or if you feel that internal pressure, that tug of war inside your spirit, it's not because something is wrong with you. It is because your soul is craving the truth. And when your identity aligns with what God says about you, that cognitive dissonance, it starts to quiet. The anxiety, it starts to settle. The fog starts to lift. Our spirits start to rest. We were designed to stand in the truth that doesn't move, because identity is the root and personality is really the branches. And your personality may grow, but your identity should not change. I hope you enjoy this episode. For me, when I'm speaking about cognitive dissonance, it's something that I've walked through. I understand it, but I also have learned to understand the power in what it means to be unshakable in an identity that is given to you, not one that you choose, something that is built on a firm foundation that can't just be rocked and swayed by culture, by what other people say. Again, I've talked about it before. I've been online, I've been on YouTube for a very long time. And I remember I used to get comments from people and they would say something about my appearance and it would devastate me for days. I would be like, oh my gosh, user X330 thinks I put on weight. Oh my gosh, I feel so guilty. Or, oh, they don't like my hair color, or they don't like this. And you take on these things that you were never meant to take on. And that is exhausting and it's draining. And when you truly start to understand what it means to have an identity built on something firm, these things don't shake you anymore. And that is something that I've learned from experience, learned the hard way. So I hope this encouraged you in some way. Comment below, let me know what you think about this. And don't forget to join the family. We have new deep dives coming every single Thursday and Sunday. I will see you guys in the next episode.